One of the most common mistakes that English learners make is to do with the subject-verb agreement. What's that? It's as simple as it sounds. The subject and the verb in English sentences must agree. They must match. And in order to agree the verb with its subject, the first thing you need to do is to find the subject in the sentence. So, let's learn the most important rules of subject-verb agreement. Being able to find the right subject and verb helps you agree the verb with its subject. Let's look at the first example. She writes or writes every day. The subject in this sentence is she. It's a singular subject. The rule says that the verb must agree in number with the subject. This means that if the subject is singular, the verb is singular too. So, she writes every day. Note that a verb used in the simple present tense takes S if it's used with a singular subject. 2. The dogs is or are barking in the backyard. The subject is dogs. It's a plural subject, so the verb must be plural. The dogs are barking in the backyard. Sentence number 3. My parents has or have decided to take us on a trip to Paris. The subject is parents. It's a plural subject. The verb should be plural. My parents have. So, what's the first rule of subject-verb agreement? Rule number 1 says that a singular subject takes a singular verb and a plural subject takes a plural verb. Now note that I and you are singular subjects, but they don't use the singular verb form. They are an exception to the rule. Subject-verb agreement rules are different when the subject is in the third person singular. So that's when your subject is a he, a she, or an it. The subjects I and you are different. Even though there are also singular subjects, they take the plural form of the verb. And you just need to remember that. I like to go swimming. She likes to go swimming. Both of these subjects are singular, but the verb forms are different. Now, English sentences are not always this simple. As you add more information to your sentences, they become more complex, and it might be difficult to know whether your subject is singular or plural. But just remember that the same structure and rules apply. You need to pay close attention to where your subject is and if it's singular or plural, because the verb must always match the subject regardless of the words that come in between the verb and the subject. It must always match. What is your subject includes a prepositional phrase. How to agree the verb with the subject? The answer is that a prepositional phrase never contains the subject of a sentence. Look at these examples. In example number 1, the list of items is or are on the desk. In this example, the complete subject is the list of items. The simple subject is list. Of items is a prepositional phrase that does not affect the simple subject. So the verb must agree with the simple subject list. List is a singular subject, so the verb must be singular. The list of items is on the desk. In example number 2, Tommy, along with the other students, is or are taking Spanish classes this term. The complete subject is Tommy along with the other students. Along with the other students is a prepositional phrase that comes in between the simple subject Tommy and the verb is taking actually. Okay, so the simple subject is Tommy and the verb agrees with this simple subject Tommy is taking. In the third example, the French teacher as well as her colleagues wear or wears blue skirts to work. In this sentence, the same rule applies. As well as her colleagues is a prepositional phrase that does not affect the simple subject nor its number. The simple subject is teacher. It's a singular subject, so the verb should be singular wears. So what is rule number 2 of subject-verb agreement? Rule number 2 says that the subject of a sentence is not affected when followed by a prepositional phrase that begins with, together with, along with, as well as, or in addition to. Now the third rule of subject-verb agreement says that a clause between the subject and the verb does not affect the number of the subject. The woman who went or the women who went to the meeting was or were bored. The complete subject in this sentence is the women who went to the meeting. This complete subject includes a clause, who went to the meeting. However, this clause does not affect the number of the subject. The women is a plural subject, or women is a plural subject, so the women who went to the meeting were bored. The same thing applies here. The young lady who's laughing with the children is or are my cousin. Who is laughing with the children is a clause included in the complete subject, but it does not affect the number of the simple subject. Lady is the simple subject. It's a singular subject, so the verb should be is. The cat which is hiding under the chair is or are afraid of the dog. The simple subject is obviously cat. It's a singular subject. So the cat which is hiding under the chair is afraid of the dog. We do not take into consideration the clause which is hiding under the chair. It does not affect the subject or its number. Some sentences can have compound subjects. Look at this example. A pencil and an eraser make or makes writing easier. In this sentence, the simple subject is pencil, eraser. Here we have two singular subjects joined by and this means that your subject becomes plural and the verb needs to show this. It's the same as saying they make writing easier. So here we have a plural subject that needs a plural verb. The same rule applies in sentence number 2. My cousin and my aunt like to play tennis. But in some cases where the conjunction and joins two things that make up one item or entity, the subject becomes singular. Look at this example. Mac and cheese is my favorite dish. In this sentence, the subject is mac and cheese. It's a singular subject because it refers to one dish. Mac and cheese is one dish that includes mac and cheese, these two ingredients. In sentence number 4, my cousin and best friend is Mirabelle. In this sentence, the subject is also singular because my cousin is my best friend and my cousin and best friend is Mirabelle. Cousin and best friend refer to the same person, Mirabelle. So what is rule number 4? Rule number 4 says that compound subjects joined by and are always plural unless the two items joined by and refer to one item or entity. In this case, the subject becomes singular.